Hi, baby. So I got a lot of questions about how to um complete the work for today and what that looks like. So let me go back all the way to the beginning. So I'm going to go to amplify.com and I'm going to hit login. And I'm going to scroll all the way down to science. Right? So Miss Jackson's already remembered, so it just logs me in. But you guys know you'd hit the C button for clever, and then you'd hit so let Miss Jackson log out so you can see it. Log out. And so boom, so you hit this blue C to log in with Clever, and then it'll take you to the webpage for Clever, and then you'll log in through Clever using your ID number, and your password should be your name. Right, so we're in lesson 3.2 today. And first things first is we always do our warm-up. So you're going to come down to your warm-up. Let me check and just close the instruction guide. So you're going to scroll down. It says introducing sources. And it gives you two sources. And it's saying for you to say which one of these sources do you think would give better evidence, and why do you think that? So let's say Miss Jackson said my source is 1, right? I'm going to put that, I'm going to hit the hand in button. So normally it says hand in. If I want to change my ideas later and go, oh no, I actually meant 2 because of something else, I can hit this update button and Miss Jackson will get whatever answer you put in last. Okay? And then I'm going to hit next activity. So it says up next, step 2, right? Which is evaluating sources. I'm going to hit next activity. So if you look, it says students are introduced to the evidence criterion, and then they use this to sort through weaker sources based on this criterion, right? And it gives you the definition of a source. So I would get a definition of a source in my book or down for me to know that a source is somewhere where something comes from. And then if I'm looking at, just for example, 601, I see that there is a discussion post. So we can answer here. So question is, before you analyze the data, you'll need to decide if this data comes from a reliable source. So we're going to be looking at slide 1, and you're going to rank it 1 through 7 according to, each piece of evidence. So if I'm opening up my evidence cards here, right, we're looking at the slide 1s of our card, not the slide 2. We'll look at the slide 2 later. First, we just want to see where it comes from. So I have a National Weather Service, a government agency, and I wonder if that's a better source than a cartoon television show. I know for a fact that is, right? So if I'm numbering this, maybe I want to start and say like, oh, this is number 1. This might be number 3. I don't know. It depends on you. You have to look at all 7 of the cards. So card C and D, slide 1, and also card E and F, slide 1, and card G, slide 1. Okay? So once you look at all of those and you decide which is more reliable, you're writing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, depending on how reliable you think it is, then you're going to come back, right? And then you're going to comment on at least, so you're going to make your rank. Okay, so after you made your rank, you're going to make your first class comment. So you see Ms. Jackson when you made a comment, card A is 1, card B is 2, whatever you think, right? You're going to make those ranks. So we have completed our first one, which is rank our cards. Boom. So that's done. Excellent. You're then going to comment on somebody else's comments. Right now, only Ms. Jackson's here, so you can't see it. But if I was somebody else, I would be able to click on it and write my comment below. Then you're going to carefully read and discuss the weather data card 2, right? And you're going to look over and discuss these questions. So you're going to write, what do all the big storms have in common? And what storms do you think have the most energy and why? So if I'm clicking back on these cards, we're now looking at slide 2. So I want to let you guys look at slide 2, and we're going to see what's going on. So if I'm looking at this first card, A, it tells me that there was a huge storm that broke records on the 13th. And here's what's happening the rest of the month. So if I'm looking at the rest of the month and I'm looking at the 13th, right, I'm seeing that the temperatures are very similar. So maybe not the temperature that changed it, But I'm looking and I see that there's more water vapor, right? So that could be something. There's also more wind speed, so the wind is also moving faster. And so I'm getting a bigger storm, right? This is telling me I have more rainfall. It's a bigger storm. So, so as I'm gonna think about that as I move on to the next card. So card B tells me a meteorologist groundhog informed other animals that the temperature was going to be very high and it was going to be very humid. What does humid mean? So I think humid is when there's a lot of water in the air and it feels like sticky, right? So I'm going to know, boom. So there's more water and it's windy. So same as what we saw up here. So there's more water and it's windy. So it should be a second severe storm. So now I'm going to keep on going and I'm going to keep on looking at these slide twos about what the big storms have in common. What's going on with the big storms, right? I'm looking here and it says it was windy and then it rained. So maybe the wind has something to do with it. I'm going to go back to my classroom. I'm sorry. I'm going to go back to my classroom and I'm going to type my second answer here. So boom. So you already see Miss Jackson said the data shows me that all the big stores have boom in common. So you're going to tell me what they have in common and then the most energy was transferred from what storm. So I'm going to go back to this and what storm, what card had the biggest storm. So might have been card A, B, C, or D. It's up to you to look at the data and say what was the most energy transferred. And you're also going to comment on one person's post, whether you agree with which one they had most energy from, whether you agree about what they have in common. You're going to respond to somebody else. So boom, you've knocked out half of today's work already. Now you're going to go and you're going to make sure you do your homework. Notice that there's two buttons, 1 and 2. So the first one says looking back at the article for sources, right? And it pulls out something from our reading from Disaster in California, which we read before we left school. And it just gives us a little snippet about it. And then it asks us, the authors of the article explain that different sources were used to understand what happened during the flood in California. Which sources do you think are most reliable sources and why do you think that is? So Ms. Jackson just write an answer for Ms. Jackson. You are going to actually write an answer, right? And then notice how I'm hitting save and continue. So now we're looking, and the second part of my homework is to read and annotate the How Do We Predict Weather article. So not only are you reading, but you're making sure to put in your annotations. So you're going to highlight things that you think are important. You're going to make notes and make inferences and make connections. So Ms. Jackson, I'm just going to write a connection right here. Maybe you guys have a question. You write your questions. And Ms. Jackson can see your annotations, so you will still be getting graded on those. Okay? Make sure you hit the save button so that they pop up. You are then going to answer the two questions. Once again, Ms. Jackson with the word answer. You are actually going to write your answers. And then you're going to turn it in. It says update because Ms. Jackson did this already earlier. And so you're going to hit the update button if you make any changes to your work. So there are 3 things that you have to do today. First one is your warm up. Right? You're going to turn this in. The second one is your discussions. And we know that these discussions happen right here on our Google Classroom. And the last thing you have to complete today is the homework. And that happens on Amplify. And we know to save and continue and submit that. So those are the 3 things that you're getting graded on today. If you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out. Let me know. If you are struggling with some of the words or how to decipher if something is a good source, let me just move this over just a teeny bit. If you go to your class, right? If you go to classwork, you'll see that Miss Jackson posted her PowerPoints. So here's the PowerPoints for 3.1. Here's the PowerPoints for 3.2 and 3.3. So if you have any questions, boom, what the sources, how to evaluate your sources, there's a video here. For evidence criterion, there's things here. Miss Jackson even put some think alouds, right? So anything you need to help push you forward, it's all right here. Have a great day, guys. I will be checking in with you tomorrow.